November 7th, 2024, and 2 days ago, one of the biggest political earthquakes that we have seen in probably 8 years happened here in America with DJT coming in and taking a very commanding win over the Democrats. And so now what we've got is the political earthquakes to follow. So, I will call DJT, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, I will call him Orange Man Bad from time to time. That is a joke. That is not being disrespectful. First and foremost, I don't give in to the cult of personality. I love that he won. I love what's going on with everything. We're going to go through a lot of his promises and everything. We'll see what he does. A lot of things so far that I've heard I like. But at the same time, if you say his name too much, the powers that be here, and they still are in effect, will kind of make it so things aren't seen. It's funny because right now, views and everything on this channel are way up. But the revenue magically is down, which means that they're just not showing as much commercials, blah, blah, blah. It's what they do. So, nothing I can really do about it, nothing you can do about it. But, the algo is real, and you have to play to it. And if you say certain things too much, or, just they'll come down on you, or they'll hinder your channel and stuff. And so that's why we do what we do. It's honestly to make fun of the people on the left side, because if you know the backstory of Orange Man Bad, it's just the way they think. They think like the Borg. They think emotionally. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about all this, and I put up a video on Rumble today. So my downvoter, if you're listening, go on over there and hit that sucker up for me. And it's entitled "They Never Learn," and it's because they don't. They are so tone deaf. They don't learn. They don't know that the reason why 45% of Latinos voted compared to 32% last time for Trump, 45%, it's a 30% increase, is not because they're, right. It's because they want a good economy. You have to play to them. You have to make sure that they're able to go out and live their lives and have freedom and fun and vacation money and a solid job they're not worried about. And that really wasn't around. And so it's nothing with what is your makeup of your skin color and stuff. It's just they weren't taken care of financially. My father told me a long time ago, he said, "Son, everything comes down to money." And it really is true. So, say what you will about the GOP, but there was some soul searching. And they put together a solid campaign. Thank you very much, Kevin Grip. That's very kind of you. So, they won over a lot of people that they previously didn't get. So they have to understand that what they were dishing out really wasn't resonating with people. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, let's just start with base level stuff here. It's kind of tough to call you a Democrat, like the Democrat, if you don't even have a democratic process in electing your candidate. I mean, just think of that on its own. 109 days before the thing, they basically forced Joe out, for lack of a better way of putting it. And they put in Kamala, and they thought that she was going to bring the whole thing home, and people were not happy with it. So, and you're getting the results that you're getting. So, I cover a little bit over there on Rumble. If you're not over there, go for it. But here we are, now we're going to see the political earthquakes, and we're going to cover them here tonight. A lot going on, as always. But now it's basically set in. Reality is here. 47th president of the United States is going to be Donald John Trump, and people have to deal with that. The meltdowns, if you've been watching, have been just, insane, really, if you think about it. If you understand our system, and let me just give me one more minute. And I've taught American government. I'm actually doing a special on Enlightenment thinkers this way. If you know the way our government functions, dictators are not really allowed. There's really no way, unless things like the Enabling Act in 1930s Germany really start to get forced through, and that will never happen on its own. So to sit there and think that like a dictatorial, authoritarian regime is coming in, and there are people that actually physically believe that right now, you really need to get your head checked. You don't understand the way our system works. Our system is supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be methodical. It's supposed to be protective of the minority. Really, it's a republic, if you think about it. That's what that is for. It's so the majority doesn't start kicking the crap out of the minority. It's a balance of power. 3 branches of government. All of that. All the main stuff that Montesquieu and Voltaire and Locke and Hobbes and all those people put into writing 400 years ago. It's not supposed to be a dictatorship, and it won't be. So the people that are out there freaking out and the people that are stoking that on mainstream media, you want to talk about the big loser on Tuesday night. It's the mainstream media. They're just a joke at this point, and nobody believes them. And if people are still using them for whatever besides comedy, you're wasting your time, and they're not going to learn. So let them die on the vine. Let it happen. And that's why I come here to the crisis report, folks. Okay? All right. November 7th, 2024. Sorry, I went a little long-winded, but I wanted to say some of that. So here we are. Let's get going into the open source intel. China's Xi congratulates Trump on a re-election of president, state media. Russia says West must enter talks to halt destruction of Ukraine's population. Israel says it purchased 25 new generation F-15s from Boeing. United States military judge reinstates 9/11 mastermind plea deal. Iran president says Trump win makes no difference. President-elect Donald Trump was backed by 46% of Latino voters Tuesday, surpassing Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush to win the biggest share of the national Latino vote by a Republican presidential contender in modern times, a new exit poll shows. Latinos are family-based. They're based with their religion, and a lot of them are Christians. And a lot of them just are not into what the Democrat Party was dishing out. Also, another thing, if you know anything about Latino culture, they're into manliness. Machismo is real. So they don't like what's going on the other side. And now more of them are defecting. And I've said it many moons ago. I said if the Republicans were smart, they would play to that Latino vote. And Trump did, and here we are. United States Defense Secretary Austin has sent out a memo to troops where he said the American military is committed to an orderly transition. Trump administration adding that the military would not get involved in politics and was ready to carry out all lawful orders. Good. Excellent statement, Lloyd. Thank you so much. Hospital hit, 1 killed, massive Russian strike on Ukraine, according to the governor. Houthi leader says Trump will fail to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Schultz cancels his trip to next week's GOP climate summit in Berlin. Joe's arrogance to blame for the Harris defeat. This is senior Democrats and what they're saying, and some of them are correct. His legacy is in tatters, said Jim Manley, senior aide to former Democratic Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, Nevada. He and his staff have done an enormous amount of damage on this country, he added. The truth of the matter is, Joe should have stepped aside earlier and let the party put together a longer game plan, Democrat strategist Mark Longbaugh told Politico. Maybe don't handpick a candidate and refuse a primary, is what the channel said, and I agree with that. And that's exactly what they did, because these people are run by the arrogance of their moneyed people that are going in and running the show. There's nothing democratic about them in the current state. AOC warns her audience that the Trump victory will usher in a new era of authoritarianism and fascism. She needs to go too. She's a Latina, right? Correct? So nobody's buying this crap anymore, with the exception of the most just fanatical Democrats. And that's another problem with the people that are sitting there screaming and crying into their cameras on TikTok. To them, this is a religion. This is their religion. And so they're going to act like the zealots that they are. And it's a frightening thing to watch. So AOC would do herself a service and her party by just kind of going away and just keeping her mouth shut. But of course she won't do that, because that's her firebrand. Moderna's chief commercial officer, Stefan Bancel, is stepping down from his role at the jab-making company Moderna. I wonder why. I wonder where he's going. Is he going anywhere? I just put up to X and Minds and Gab a picture of a couple of Canadian Mounties sitting there over surveying the beautiful Canadian countryside, waiting for the first round of liberal, and they're not liberal, they're progressive fascist, actors and singers and performers to start traversing the land to get over to the freedom of Canada. Clinton Foundation CEO Kevin Thurm announced his resignation immediately following the election results. Wonder what he's worried about. Trump's victory is brought about by Latin American citizens, youth and women, writes Der Spiegel. Although the Republican constantly promises to expel illegal Latino immigrants and finish building a wall on the border with Mexico, 45% of Latinos with a U.S. passport voted for him, 25% for Harris. 2020, Trump had 32%. So maybe they're worried about all these new people coming in and ruining their economic situation. You know, once you get here and you do all the things to get going, you're not going to want to give up your job to, someone coming over looking for a job themselves and willing to underpay and overwork. Among voters aged 18 to 29, 78-year-old Republican narrowed the gap by 11 percentage points in the largest age group, 45 to 64. He increased his advantage from 1 to 8 percentage points. Trump scored even higher among women than among men. According to preliminary data, although Harris targeted his audience with the abortion issue, fun fact, Miss Harris, there's only 900,000 and change of those per year. So in a country of 340 million, if that's your winning game plan, you're going to get your butt kicked. Trump's support also grew even more amongst people without a college education, which, of course, on The View, anybody who voted for Trump is now considered uneducated, because name-calling, again, is an effective political strategy. Harris, on the other hand, had a lot of black support. Why is this happening? One explanation might be it's the economy, stupid. 3/4 of Trump voters said inflation was the cause of family hardship last year. Annual inflation rate recently hit just 2.4%. Excuse me real quick. Bullshit. Excuse me. But many people are apparently still upset with Harris and Biden for the rising prices caused by the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the energy crisis in 2022. I'd say the money printing from Rona, which honestly, Federal Reserve, Trump, and Biden, if you really think about it. Harris voters, by contrast, named the state of democracy as the most important issue in the election. So yes, the idiots that voted for a democracy. Okay, what is that? What does that look like? How is it a threat to democracy? Did anybody get their democracy threatened on Tuesday? Did you not get to vote? Everybody got to vote. Counted them, came up, he won. So how is that a threat? So he seems to have done a better job of mobilizing his supporters for using inflation than Kamala did, using concerns about threat of democracy. I hope I never hear that freaking term again. Trump's team is reportedly drafting a new peace plan for Ukraine, according to the Wall Street Journal. Suspend Ukraine's NATO ambition for 20 years. Create a demilitarized zone along the current front line, no U.S. troops. U.S. to continue arms supplies in exchange if they think that Putin is dumb enough to accept a 20-year ceasefire, that the U.S. can continue to build military logistics and send weapons to Ukraine. Then Trump's team are bigger morons than Biden's team, and that is from Megatron, pro-Eastern guy, but he makes some good points. I don't think Putin's going to do it. Department of Justice, Jack Smith immediately ended his case against Donald Trump. DOJ cited policy that presidents can't be prosecuted However, it was assumed that they would work up until the last day. Great. Please waste all that money. That's fantastic. Can't do anything with it, but just waste money, man. Make sure you're getting your paycheck. They had a list of all the things that the left did to try to win this, and lawfare and all of these lawsuits and criminal charges, bogus, all of them backfired. All of them backfired. So, you know, they have a saying in AA, folks. Insanity is repeating the same behavior and expecting a different outcome. These idiots are going to expect the different outcome, and they're going to keep doing the same things. Massachusetts governor says she will use executive power to stop Trump from deporting criminal aliens. We want to protect our residents, she said. Now we know the Democrat-controlled states are going to push a nullification crisis. For those that don't know, 1820s America, South Carolina had the nullification crisis. It was one of the first salvos before the CW in 1861. Price of megawatt per hour of electric energy skyrockets to 800 euros in Germany after solar and wind farms reach new lows in terms of energy production. As a result, German power plants are now burning through thousands of barrels of oil to cope for the lack of energy produced by renewables. Kamala Harris supporters gathered outside of Trump's tower in Chicago to express their anger at Harris's loss in the 2024 U.S. presidential election. I think that's another thing that's not exactly a winning recipe for the Democrats. People are really tired of cities being burned down because you didn't get your way, because you're just a loser. So please keep doing that. You know, don't hurt anyone and don't, you know, do damage. But protesting, obviously, at this point, fine, waste your time. Go for it. Anti-Trump demonstrations were held on Chicago and in Philadelphia. Protesters in Chicago carried banners and messages such as "End the Trump era" and "Stop White Supremacy." Morning's front page of the conservative Iranian newspaper Kehan. America is the great Satan, regardless of who is president. So after Donald Trump's 2024 election win, world's top 10 wealthiest individuals saw a record one-day net worth increase of $64 billion. Jeff Bezos is no idiot. S&P 500 surged 2.5%, marking the best post-election performance in history, while the U.S. dollar strengthened amid expectations of Trump's pro-business policies. Elon Musk led the gains, adding $26.5 billion to his net worth. As a Trump supporter likely to hold an advisory role, Tesla shares jumped 15%, yearly rise of 32%. Stealth Mode, thanks so much for being a member. By the way, like Stealth Mode, one of the best ways to keep the Crisis Report going is becoming a member. It is $2 a month. You know, I put major stuff going on in the background on the community page. If there's like an imminent attack and stuff like that, that's about all I have time to do. But if you like what we're doing here, please consider it. It does keep the lights on and keep us moving. And yeah, we're not paying the mortgage with what's going on. This is a labor of love. I've said it many times. Some people don't believe that. Whatever. I do love doing this. And hopefully it helps you get an understanding of all the stuff going on in the world. Other major beneficiaries include Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, crypto leaders Brian Armstrong, Changpeng Zhao, whose wealth grew by $12.1 billion to $52.7 billion. I'd still like to know the French guy that put the big bet down on Polymarket, but U.S. Defense Secretary Austin issued a memo affirming the military's commitment to a smooth transition of the Trump administration, emphasizing it will remain apolitical and execute all lawful orders. Good. What's going on in the SMO? Well, following changes in the U.S., Israel, and Ukraine's military policy, information is coming in about the dismissal of Germany's finance minister Scholz on the verge of losing his position. So a new government in Germany is on the horizon. Over the past 24 hours, Russians have come even closer to Kharkov from the south. The Russian armed forces are also advancing west from Selidov. Details of the Russian armed forces' offensive in the Seversk direction are gradually beginning to reach us. According to the latest information, the Russians have suffered significant losses, and it's still unclear whether they managed to break through the main defense on the attack route. Hours after the German government collapsed, forcing Chancellor Olaf Scholz to call for a confidence vote that he said would take place on January 15th, which if he were to lose, which is virtually certain, will force a snap election by March. Reuters reports that Germany's cabinet on Wednesday approved a draft law that would allow the army to gauge the readiness of the country's 18-year-olds to serve in the Bundeswehr as it looks to boost troop numbers for NATO obligations without resorting to conscription. Reuters reports that the war in Ukraine prompted a debate in Germany over whether to reintroduce conscription, which was ended in 2011, to boost shrinking troop numbers in response to a more aggressive Russia. Currently has 180,000 soldiers, which wants to increase to 203,000 by 2031, as well as 60,000 reservists. Trump insists on deporting jihad sympathizers and radicals when he takes office in January, emphasizes to support the Netanyahu regime in winning the war on terror. We will deport them very quickly. We have no choice, he suggests. This guy, of course, was against that because who knows what he thinks, but I guess he likes kind of what happened in the Netherlands today, which we're going to get to. Oh, what happened in the Netherlands? Oh, yeah, just a bunch of Moroccans decided to attack a bunch of Israelis right after a football match, soccer, and big mess. I'll get to it at the end. Germany's defense capability on the front in Ukraine is determined by the analysis of the events in the front and the existing distance to the European on-German border. The strategy is aimed on the experiences of the Second World War. Lukashenko hopes that the Trump's return to power, something will change, according to Belta. Chinese President Xi Jinping said Beijing and Washington must find a way to get along in messaging to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Some heavy impacts on residential areas reported in Haifa, who is actually bombed on a daily basis by Hezbollah. Ukrainian sources report that Zelensky will be forced to agree to any peace plan presented by the United States because the situation on the front is already depressing. And the United States is the most important military partner without whose help it is impossible to continue fighting. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol, discuss North Korea's military entry into the Ukraine war. Non-stop U.S. weapons transfers to the Middle East. Something is brewing. Zelensky insists that Ukraine needs only enough weapons, not support, in negotiations. No one guarantees that the West will not use nuclear weapons, according to Putin. France is going to summon Israeli ambassador to Paris, Ministry of Foreign Affairs has stated. Ursula von der Leyen discusses Ukraine, trade, and energy with Donald Trump. 43 monkeys have escaped the South Carolina research facility. Police warn residents to secure doors and windows. Remember that movie with Dustin Hoffman way back in the day? I think it was called Outbreak. How'd that whole thing start? Yeah. Putin said he is ready for contacts with Trump and does not consider it shameful to call him himself. Yeah, because why would we want two presidents, or whatever, talking to each other in the middle of a conflict? We don't need them to talk. Just keep chucking missiles at each other. I'm sure it'll work out for everyone. Yes, please talk to him. Talk to each other. Let's work this thing out. U.S. and its satellites aim to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia, if not destroy it, when reduce it to an insignificant role, Putin said. U.S. is support of Zelensky if he wishes to enter into peace talks with Russia, State Department has said. Putin congratulates Trump on election as the U.S. president. He's now the U.S. president, or will be in January. We have not seen a single confirmation of intentions from Vladimir Putin that he is ready to leave the conflict, not on the conditions that he has prescribed according to the State Department. So a little concern on all that. Destruction of 100 Hezbollah centers at the same time in southern Lebanon. Preparation for an Iranian attack. U.S. moved a squadron of F-15s to the Middle East after dozens of fighter jets and 6 B-52 strategic bombers were moved to the region last week. Following the alerts that were activated at 1341 to 1354 in the areas of the Western Galilee, the Haifa Bay, and Upper Galilee, almost 40 launches were detected that crossed from Lebanon. Some were intercepted, falls were detected. Massive red wave success. It's beyond a landslide as Republicans have now won the presidency, popular vote, Senate majority, House majority, state governor majority, and state legislature majority. If you're a Democrat, I want you to look at that right there and take a long look. And then when you're getting ready to go scream into a camera and cry like a you-know-what, or go out and protest and march, I want you to look at that, and I want you to think. It is your actions that have made all these things possible. So please, keep it up. Thank you. Iran transferred missiles and drones to pro-Iranian militias in Iraq. IDF is currently carrying out a wave of attacks in several areas in southern Lebanon. France's Paris Saint-Germain football club fans displayed a huge Free Palestine banner during their game against Atletico Madrid. They lost. What's next for Israel? Between now and January 20th, this is some political analysis. We'll go through it quickly. Joe, 10 weeks left in office. Netanyahu will have to decide whether to heed the policy directives or to treat him as a lame duck and effectively hold until Trump gets into office. I'm thinking option 2. Washington Post reports that senior officials in the Biden administration know that their influence on other countries is waning and that their ability to make policy decision may be limited once Trump is inaugurated on January 20th. Your thing is waning? Yeah, nobody respects us. Of the 3 separate conflicts in which Israel is currently involved, that's Gaza, Lebanon, and Iran, none are expected to be resolved before Trump takes office. Next week, Joe will face a decision on whether to impose an arms embargo on Israel, 30-day deadline set by the U.S. for the Israeli government to increase humanitarian aid to northern Gaza expires, and if unmet, Israel could face a suspension of arms shipments and other assistance from the U.S. Senior officials from both the U.S. and Israel have held intensive talks about it, but little action has been taken by Israel so far. Our factor complicating the administration's decision is the knowledge that if Joe were to cut off military supplies to Israel, Trump, who has reportedly been in regular contact with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and last month urged him to do what you have to do to win the war, could revoke the decision immediately upon taking office. In the meantime, Israel could completely block humanitarian aid to Gaza. It goes on from there. It's long. So if you'd like to read it, I'd go to the Substack, PrepperNow.substack.com. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's really good stuff. It basically gives an outline of what's going on. I posted this to my Subscribestar and Locals a few hours ago. So I think it does give an idea, a window, if you will, of where we're going. So as it says here, during the war that followed 10/7, senior American officials viewed Gallant as an indispensable partner and a key ally in the fight against the right Netanyahu's coalition, some of whom strongly opposed providing humanitarian aid to Palestinians, and some of whom would like to see Jewish settlement in Gaza. So that's Raylan Givens on X. Good political analysis of Israel, and basically they're putting in the war hawks. I'll just put it to you that way, so you can take with that what you will. Shocking event in the streets of Amsterdam. Arab gangs attacked the Israeli fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv, who came to a game against Ajax Amsterdam. Terrible videos of assault are online. The events are so bad The Special Emergency Center was opened in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Jerusalem. Some Israelis were run over by cars. Foreign Minister Gideon Saar said any Israeli or Jew who is currently in distress or who has information and location about a violent incident that is currently taking place, please contact the Situation Room, and that gives a number. Testimonies from Maccabi Tel Aviv fans indicate that everything was planned in advance by the Arabs who attacked them. They gathered in groups of 5 to 10, every alley, every central exit from different train stations around Dam Square, and especially in the streets of the Israeli hotels. They had precise information on where to wait. As soon as they recognized Israelis, they jumped on them with knives, clubs, pocket knives, and there are also reports of incidents of being run over by cars, Palestinian flags on them. Police left the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans at the exit from the John Cruyff Arena, and in fact, the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans did not receive any police escort from the moment they were boarded the trains and made their way to the hotels. It took the police almost an hour and a half for vehicles to arrive and supposedly intervene in what is going on, but many fans still recorded police vehicles standing idly by and doing nothing to the Arab crowd that was next to the attacks, also throwing countless firecrackers into hotels where Israelis who fled the street were hiding. Dutch police told us that the Arabs would lynch us. Tells me that one of the fans who managed to escape after a particularly scary hour and arrived at the Amsterdam airport covered in blood and injured. That's according to Razamir. Excuse me. Israeli establishment announces that there is a fear that Iran is involved in the organized and powerful lynching that is now taking place in Amsterdam. Attacks are still ongoing from roaming Muslim gangs against Jews. Jews are being run over by cars, stabbed, and lynched. Israel is sending rescue teams and rescue plane to Amsterdam. Update from the Dutch police. 30 protesters, including Iranians and Turks, have been arrested so far. Israel's ambassador to the Netherlands, Modi Ephraim, manages to, on behalf of the state, the operation to protect the Israelis who were attacked in Amsterdam. He informed the authorities in Israel that 600 police officers were sent to the hotels in the Dutch capital to protect the fans. Wow. It's still ongoing. I think it's over now, though. Prime Minister's office, Netanyahu, said he's aware of the details of the serious incident, violence in Amsterdam against Israeli citizens, conducted a situation assessment, foreign minister, and is military secretary and receives regular updates all the time. Prime Minister ordered the immediate sending of 2 rescue planes to assist our citizens. Prime Minister takes the horrific event very seriously and demands that the Dutch government and the Dutch security forces act firmly and quickly against the rioters and ensure the peace of our citizens. Russian President Putin says the New World Order has become a thing of the past. Well, we'll see. Moment of truth is coming. The previous world order is irreversibly becoming a thing of the past. One can say it has become a thing of the past. Well, why do you have to say that? So, I don't know. I don't trust anything or anyone. So, trust my wife. That's about it. My family. New York City has announced it will no longer provide vouchers to illegal immigrants to pay for food using taxpayer money. Good. Thank you. Texas Secretary of State Jane Nelson has announced a comprehensive audit of the 2024 election, which will include hand-counting ballots in specific races. Any identified fraud will be prosecuted. President-elect Trump vows to end birthright citizenship for children of illegal migrants on his first day in office. Republicans David McCormick defeated Democrat incumbent Bob Casey Jr. in Pennsylvania. Brings the Republican U.S. Senate majority to 53 votes. Republicans flip Pennsylvania Senate seat, giving them a 53-47 lead in the Senate. Nullifies the Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, two moderate Republicans in the Senate, and their ability to block Trump's appointments. So, good. Republican Sam Brown is going to defeat Democratic incumbent Senator Jackie Rosen in Nevada. Given most outstanding votes are heavily in Republican counties, Brown is nearly certain to win the U.S. Senate election in Nevada. This will bring the Republican U.S. Senate majority to 54. Trump says every military official involved in the Afghanistan withdrawal action needs to have their resignations on the president's White House desk by noon on Inauguration Day. I don't know about you, but I like some of that memorabilia. Some of the officials' brass or something like that. Donald Trump suggests installing Alex Jones as press secretary. Please do that. Please. Holy Lord, man. I'll quit my job and just watch Alex Jones take on NBC every day. Alex Jones has made it known that he will accept any such offer. Can you imagine? I mean, I think it's too much. I think it's a little too much for the normies out there. But my Lord. I'd love to watch that. President Trump will fire every official. I'm not even like a big Alex Jones fan. I just like to see the conflict. President Trump will fire every official or agent at the FBI, CIA, DHS, CDC, etc. that forced big tech to censor the truth about the 2020 elections in Rona. He'll also strip security clearances of the 51 intel officials who labeled Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation. Do it all. Go to town, dude. Syrian channels are reporting a significant deployment of U.S. military assets to bases in northeastern Syria, with at least 6 C-17 and C-130 military transports having landed at both Karab al-Jair Air Base and the Ramalin landing zone in the last 48 hours. Aircraft are said to have contained air defense systems, American personnel, and other military equipment. EU faces a nightmare scenario with Trump, trade war, and possible abandonment of Ukraine, according to Spanish media. Handful of states, such as California, are attempting to sting up as much red tape as possible for Inauguration Day. Trump's landslide win in the presidential election. Some politicians are openly stating that they intend to fight Trump's win in the courts, pending an investigation of voter fraud, if that sounds familiar. If those efforts fail, it is likely that some politicians will attempt to halt the certification of Trump's win before it takes place on January 6th. Large-scale demonstrations can be expected at the Capitol as many left-wing voters attempt to redress the concerns about the elections before. And Governor Gavin Newsom has called a special legislative session to protect California's liberal policies ahead of another Trump presidency. A U.S. judge in Texas on Thursday ruled against Biden's program offering a path to citizenship for certain immigrant spouses of United States citizens, a blow that could keep the program blocked through Biden's final months in office. And just in, about an hour ago, FBI says offensive and racist text messages are being sent to individuals in the United States. Okay. 43 rhesus monkeys escaped from a bio-research lab in Yemassee, South Carolina. That's southern portion of the state, if you know the state. And Putin did not rule out the possibility of Russia holding joint military exercises with North Korea. The strategic partnership agreement between and has practically nothing new. Parties have returned to a Soviet-era agreement. So, that, my friends, is your crisis report for November 7th, 2024. God bless you all. Check the links in the description. Join us here as a member. Join us on Subscribestar. Join us on Locals. Join us on Rumble. Join us on Gab, on Minds, on X, on Truth. Just join us. Join us everywhere. Get more PrepperNow in your life. God bless you all. And we will see you on the next one. PrepperNow. Crisis Report out.